my darlings. This is Micah Riot, another musing episode of Ink Medicine Podcast. It is the 15th of December, 2022. I have to say I'm really enjoying making this podcast. I thought I'd be more self-conscious, that I would not like editing. I would not like hearing my own voice over and over again. And I have to say, I am grown up enough to be okay with it. The main thing is making the whole thing sound cohesive. I think that's what I'm the most nervous about. But I also imagine a time when people already like it and trust it and like to hear me rambling, musing about whatever. So I wanted to tell you a little story. It's less of a story and more of a ramble about, December. December every year is a slow month. And every year around this time, I have a little freak out that goes something like, what if I can't make a living doing this thing that I love, that I've been making a living at for the last 14 years? Sounds silly, right? I should remember that every December is a slow time of the year. Of course, people are out of town and they're shopping for gifts and they are busy. So, that's logical and it happens every year. And still, every year I have these little freakouts about whether or not my career is viable for the next year. It happens like clockwork. And this year, I got maybe a little bit worse than usual. I had like a mini panic attack because I had no emails in my inbox. Even though I'm busy, I'm busy for the next month and a half. I'm booked. Usually get emails. Every week I get a couple of emails. Maybe some weeks like 10 emails, some weeks just a couple. But it's been a couple weeks and I hadn't. And of course, in the next few days, I got like 5 emails. Some of them requests for bigger pieces, sleeves, more like multiple session pieces. So thank you, universe. Thanks for letting me know that you have me, that I'm taken care of and I will have work. It can be hard. There's no guarantees. When you work for yourself and you're an artist, and part of how you get work is by relying on social media, on free marketing, essentially. I post photos on social media and people just find me. It can be a little bit intense when you rely on that, to think about how much it has changed, how much Instagram marketing has changed, where it used to be very organic and natural and you're just posting pictures and that's all it takes, kind of creating an online portfolio and connecting with your audience, to now having to make reels, having to stand out in some way, shape, or form, which is nearly impossible. The market is so flooded with tattoo artists. There are so many of us. And I've always held this belief that we all have our own clients, that my clients will come to me. If they don't come to me, they're not my clients. And if they go to somebody else, they're not my clients. And there's enough for everybody. Just as there has been an expansion of tattoo artists in each area, there's also an expansion of clientele. More people want to get tattooed. It's much more acceptable. In the end of it all, I do believe there's enough people, enough demand, and enough of us to meet that demand. So there's no threat. And, I think that as an artist, I, and probably everybody else too, it's hard to not be on Instagram, not to be scrolling, not to see the most gorgeous tattoos and to compare your work against their work and to go, wow, of course they have 100,000 followers because look at their work, it's amazing. And, my work doesn't look like this, so I don't have that many followers. And, the best thing I can do is just keep coming back to myself, keep coming back to my life and my reality. And, I'm a small shop, just me, a small studio, and I'm a small person. And I do like to tattoo a little slice of community, of culture, of humanity. So I don't need 100,000 followers. Can I even imagine how overwhelmed I would be with requests if I had that many followers? The following fits the artist, is what it seems like. And I am okay. I am okay. I have always been able to make my bills, to make my life work. It doesn't matter how many followers I have, of course. The followers I do have are amazing. And I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me, right? So that's something to remind oneself all the time in life. You know, it's funny. I really don't spend a lot of time worrying about it in my career in tattooing. I know that my clients will be mine, and if they're not mine, then they're not my clients. And yet I had not until now been able to translate that into the rest of my life. I'm kind of like a big romantic person. I have always held love in high regard for myself. It's something that I've always centered in my life. I love to love. I love to take care of people. I love to have a romantic partner. I love to be intimate with somebody in all the different ways. And yeah, I love to be in love. And my goal for my life had always been to fall in love and stay in love with somebody really amazing that would really allow me to stay in love with them. And I had a really pretty terrible time of it in my 20s. I dated all sorts of people. I fell in love a few times. For the most part, it wasn't very reciprocal. It would be kind of fun for a little while, and then I would just suffer. Somehow I wasn't able to translate this strong belief I have, in what's mine will be mine, like what's mine will come to me in dating until recently. Yeah, I had a really hard time of it in my 20s. The main point of this ramble is to say that I am okay. And I'm grateful to be reminded that I'm okay and that I will have clients and I will have work. And why should I not be able to make it work after 14 years of being able to make it work? Yes, there's a recession, but there's a way around everything, and there will be resources for most of us. Sadly, not all of us, because that's not how this culture works. But I believe that most of us will make it, at least for another little while. And the other thing I wanted to say that I was reminded of in the last week or two is that I looked back at some of the emails I did not respond to over the last year, mostly because I was overwhelmed with requests and could not get back to everybody in a timely manner. And some of them were really small tattoos, or they just were folks who probably didn't fully understand how to approach getting tattooed, and felt like too much energy and time at the time to explain it. And so I didn't get back to them. And I feel like I was humbled, in the last couple of weeks when I wasn't getting any emails and I started to get very anxious. I felt humbled by that. I got an email. The first email I got after this little bit of a dry patch was from somebody who wanted something very small and simple. And the email was basically like, here's what I want. How much will it be? So I don't usually respond to those emails because they're not really my style, I don't really do the little tiny tattoos on people I don't know. And I don't start the conversation with quoting prices. That feels, I don't know, too dry or something. This isn't really, like, I will basically almost always make something work if it makes sense and I have to make my bills. But the conversation that starts with how much will it cost, that doesn't make sense to me. So I oftentimes will just skip those emails. And I responded to this person. I responded and I said, I didn't say anything about money. I said, let's have a consultation on Zoom. Here's the way to book the consultation. I do that to have a little vibe check, with new people who I've never met. I want to make sure that they are present and they are aware of what this process will entail, and they and I like each other's energy and want to spend that time together, want to go into this sacred ritual together, even if it's small, even if it won't take many sessions. So I always do a Zoom consult. I used to do a face consult, FaceTime or face-to-face. Now it's Zoom. And she didn't respond to me, and that's fine. But I felt humbled in that moment of being like, I wouldn't have responded to this person in my overwhelmed usual state where I'm just trying to catch up. But in this moment, when I am wanting to, I want that confirmation that I'm okay, that I have clients, that people want my work, I am responding to this person who is probably not my ideal client. But it doesn't matter, because my job is to tattoo. My job is to make people's wishes come true in the world of tattooing. My job is not to pick and choose based on my ego what I want and not want to do. And there's a place and time for that too. But in this case, it felt lovely. It felt lovely to be humbled. Thus, I'm reminded that my job is to serve. My job is not to serve my ego. My job is to serve the people who trust me with their skin and their souls, their minds, their histories, their money. So that's the musing for tonight. I'm gonna wrap it up. I've been asking my guests what is a thing that makes them happy lately. And the thing that's made me happy lately is snuggling with my dog, sitting in my big round. I have this big round, sort of a love seat armchair, and I get in there most days, a couple times a day, and I spend a couple hours there each time, and I snuggle with my dog, and she loves to be covered by blankets. I cover her with a blanket and myself, and I read a book, have some tea or some wine, or I edit the podcast episodes, or just do work on my newsletter, etc. So that's the thing that's been making me happy, is these mornings and these nights in that round love seat chair with my dog. I also have been really enjoying banza pasta. Do you guys know what this is? Banza, I think, comes from garbanzo. It's a pasta made from garbanzo beans. It's full of protein and fiber, and I'm into it. I eat it every night. I eat it with cottage cheese and pine nuts, and it's delicious, and that's my usual dinner, and I really like it. It's very comforting, kind of my version of mac and cheese. I come home and I have my little gluten-free pasta dish with my cottage cheese and pine nuts. That's it. I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for listening. I will be back with another episode of Ink Medicine next week. My guest is Hannah Wolf, the owner of Old Crow Tattoo. She's lovely and wonderful and brilliant, and my tattoo artist. I've been going to her for the last couple years, having her work on my left sleeve and my chest. She's really great, and she wrote a book about the science of tattooing, so we're going to be discussing the book, and also just, her and her history, being a woman in the tattoo industry in the early 2000s. It was not easy, and she will talk about that. Thanks so much. I'm out. This is Micah Riot, and you're listening to Ink Medicine Podcast.